This is TWiT.
Well, this is a fun one because I have noticed more and more people seem to be missing notifications, right? And notifications are kind of hard to keep track of. You know, there's something coming in, it's buzzing on your phone, maybe it doesn't buzz, and things like that. But what you can do on iOS, so if you go under settings and then you go into the accessibility area, and then you go down into, and I have just lost it, which is really not very helpful. So I'll just use the search to find it. It's audio and visual. That's the one. If you're under audio and visual, so settings, accessibility, audio and visual, then you scroll to the bottom. There is a section called visual, which has an option for LED flash for alerts. And if you go in, then you can turn this on and you can set this to a flash while unlocked. And what I also really love, if you've got this toggled on, you can turn this off for flashing in silent mode. And this, I think, is a feature that, well, I know for a fact this feature didn't exist before. These two options, flash while unlocked and flash in silent mode, were not things. You could just turn on and off flashing. So what will happen is when you get a notification, the flash on the back of your phone will light up as well. So you will get an audio and a visual notification. But what I really like about the two options that they've got here, so you can turn off flashing while unlocked, which is probably while you're using your phone, and turn off flash in silent mode. That means that if, for example, one of my classmates in ballet a couple of weeks ago, this was going off and it was driving everybody crazy because she put her phone down on the floor, face down, pointing up next to the ballet bar. So every time somebody from her work sent her a message, because somebody at work was sending her a bunch of messages, it kept flashing. And so I showed her, hey, you can turn it off while it's in silent mode. And she had no idea that was a thing. And most of the people in my class, turns out, didn't know that you could have your phone flash when you get a notification as well. So, you know, everybody learned something from that. But yeah, having the flash is a really useful bonus if you are somebody who is likely to get into a zone and completely bypass all of those notifications. The only thing I'll say is if you have folks with epilepsy or similar in your life, then you may not want to use this feature because the flash is incredibly bright and it's not just on off, it's beep beep. It's like a double flash. So that could potentially be problematic for those folks, but it's a very useful feature to have at home.
I really wish back in college that the silence toggle was an option, because I remember being in Spanish class and there was a student in that class who had the flash turned on. And the first part of me was like, oh, go you. You know that feature exists. You know how to turn it on. And mind you, this was a person who, as far as, you know, anyone knew, or as far as my interactions went, it was not necessarily a feature that was needed. And so it was just, you know, an added, as you've talked about, an added benefit to be able to see it. But in the middle of class, when you're trying to focus and then you just get this glint out of the corner of your eye, rather frustrating. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that silence, the turn it off when it's on silent is a great added toggle there that I'm glad Apple has considered for sure.
Well, one other thing I want to mention, I know we're not in Shortcuts Corner, but there are Shortcuts actions for turning LED flash on and off. So what you can also do is use Shortcuts automations to hook this into focus mode so that, for example, while you're in your class focus mode for college, it could be turned off. And then when you turn off your class focus mode, you can turn the LED flash back on. And that can be very useful for that as well.
Hey, if you liked that clip, well, there's so much more to get by joining Club TWiT. You can watch all of iOS Today, where we cover all things iOS, tvOS, HomePodOS, watchOS, and so much more. It's all the apps, all the tips and tricks, and everything with Rosemary Orchard and me, Micah Sargent. Join Club TWiT at twit.tv/clubtwit to see all of iOS Today.